Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a video that I've been meaning to do for quite a while, ever since I did kind of the counterpart to this video over the summer. So basically I'm going to be looking at all of the best books that I have read according to Goodreads average ratings. So over the summer I did something very similar where I looked at all of the worst books that I've read according to Goodreads average ratings, and for the most part I kind of agreed with the general, public's opinion of those books, but some of them I did not. So I've been really interested and excited to do, the reverse of this and see if I disagree with any of the best books on Goodreads. I have a feeling I probably won't, but there might be a few. I do have kind of one stipulation that I'm going to be putting on this list, and I am not going to be including sequels or just like any subsequent books in series, because for the most part, if somebody likes a first book in a series, they're probably going to pick up the next book in the series and give it a pretty high rating. So I'm just not going to factor in sequels because sequels, they just tend to have better ratings overall. So we're going to be looking at first books in series and standalones. I think I already know what the top one is. I'm fairly certain it's The Way of Kings. I think Words of Radiance is above The Way of Kings, but obviously it's a sequel. So we'll see if I'm correct in that, because I know they just have like crazy high ratings on Goodreads. So I'm just gonna pull up all of the books that I've read on Goodreads, sort them by average rating, and take a look. I was indeed correct. The Way of Kings is number 1. This is the first book in the Stormlight Archive, and it has an average rating of 4.65, which is just insane, honestly. Like, I gave that book a 5 stars, so like obviously I agree, but that's just such a high rating, it's wild. Words of Radiance, I know I said I wasn't gonna talk about like sequels, but just to mention it, it literally has an average rating of 4.75. Like, that's insane. Like, deserved, honestly, but it's crazy to think about. But number 1 was indeed The Way of Kings. And now I will begin my copious amounts of scrolling to get to any first books in series. Okay, so I found the second book on this list, and I found one I disagree with. So the second book on my list is The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. This is book number 1 in the Kingkiller Chronicles. The average rating is a 4.52. I gave this book a 3 stars. I have talked about this rather recently. I don't really care for The Name of the Wind that much. It's just not really my thing. I understand why it has a rather high rating. Like, it's a good book. I just didn't click with the main character, but like, it is a good book. So I get it, but I still disagree, but I'm not surprised that it's in this list. Ooh, next up we have one that I absolutely wholeheartedly agree with, and that is Spy Family, Volume 1 by Tetsuya Endo. I love Spy Family so much. So obviously, like a lot of other people love Spy Family as well. It has an average rating of 4.51. I gave this book a 5 stars, which it's very rare for me to rate like graphic novels and manga. Like, I have to be absolutely in love with the series to like give it a 5 star on Goodreads, just because I find graphic novels and manga to be pretty hard to rate. But Spy Family absolutely deserved the full 5 stars. Love her so much, absolutely agree. If you guys have not read Spy Family, you gotta do it, guys. Like, if a million other people haven't told you to do it, I'm telling you now to read it. And then right under that we have Heartstopper Volume 1, another of my absolute favorite graphic novel series. Again, one that I gave 5 stars. Like, yeah, it's got an average rating of also 4.51, so Spy Family and Heartstopper are tied. Again, absolutely agree. Love Heartstopper so much. It's so cute. It's so wholesome. If you have not read Heartstopper, you gotta pick it up. Next up we have another one that absolutely does not surprise me, and that is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. This has an average rating of 4.49. I give this book a 4 stars when I first read it, and I think I'd probably give it a 4 stars on the reread. I love the duology as a whole, but I don't think I connected as much with the characters in the first book as I did in the second book. So I feel like maybe if I were to give it like a reread, I would probably feel more like it's a 5 stars because I have like a better grasp on the characters, and like you have that whole like other 600-page book to get to know them. But like on its own, personally, like Six of Crows was a 4 star for me. But I'm very not surprised it's this high up on the list. Everybody loves Six of Crows. I've seen like maybe 1 or 2 people who don't enjoy it out of just like the thousands of people that I've seen talk about it. So next up we have another one that I very much disagree with, and that is House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. This is the first book in the Crescent City series. The average rating is a 4.48. and I gave it a 3 stars. Like, I didn't hate House of Earth and Blood, but personally I do not vibe with the way that Sarah J. Maas writes urban fantasy. I didn't like the way the characters talked. I didn't really like the characters themselves. The fact that they had cell phones was really weird to me, even though, like, it makes sense for the story, but I was like, I don't like it. I really like Sarah J Maas's high fantasy stories, like Throne of Glass, yeah. ACOTAR, obviously. House of Earth and Blood, though, it's just not my thing. I don't love it. I mean, I guess I can kind of see why people like it, but in my mind, it's just obviously her worst series. And I don't know, you got a 3 stars for me. That was probably being generous, but I am gonna continue the series, so maybe my thoughts will change on it. Who knows? We'll have to see. Okay, so number 7, I have The Final Empire, which is the first book in the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson. It has an average rating of 4.47. I gave this book a 5 stars. I read it last weekend, actually, so this is a very recent addition to this list. I'm also not surprised that this book is on this list as well. The Final Empire was fantastic, but I've talked about it very recently, so I won't go too much into it, but I absolutely agree that it should be so high up on this list. Like, that's what she deserves. If you guys have not tried out Mistborn yet, I would highly recommend you guys do so. Next up for number 8, we have The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. I read this book at the beginning of 2021, and I gave it a 5 stars. I really don't think I would give it a 5 stars if I read it now, but back then I was definitely trying to figure out like what exactly my rating system was. So if I even enjoyed a book a little bit, I was like, oh, maybe I should give it a 5 stars. I feel nothing towards that book anymore, to be honest. Like, I haven't thought about it since I read it. It's good. I definitely think it's good. It's really cute, very, you know, cozy fantasy. That's what's in right now, but I don't agree with my past rating for this. However, it does have an average rating of 4.44, which I'm unsurprised with. I feel like if I were to read this book now, I'd give it like 3.5 maybe. I don't know, it's just always so interesting to see how my feelings towards certain books change over time. Like this one, I'm like, I don't even remember what goes on in this book. But I definitely see why people like it. Number 9 on this list, we have one of my faves, and that is Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare, which is the first book in the Last Hour series. What's the average rating? 4.43. Yeah, as it should be, honestly. Love Chain of Gold so much. Like, I don't have any words to describe how I feel about that series. I absolutely agree with the fact that it should be so high up on this list. Love her. I'm still honestly in my, you know, post Chain of Thorns depression. I finished it a few days ago, so seeing this on the list honestly kind of hurts me a bit. But also I'm like, yeah, as it should be. So, it's so good. If you guys have not read The Infernal Devices and then The Last Hours, I don't know what you're doing. Honestly, you gotta do it. The last best book on this list is Londonborn by Tracy Dion, which is the first book in the Londonborn cycle. Again, I'm completely unsurprised. I gave this book a 4 stars. The average rating was a 4.41. So obviously I agree with the fact that it should be on this list. Londonborn is great. It's just very different from other YA fantasy. It's, you know, based in Arthurian legend. It's got a lot of, you know, commentary about racism and just general societal issues, and it's fantastic. If you have not picked it up, you gotta pick it up. The sequel for it came out last year, which was also really good. Obviously, I agree it should be on this list, so I guess that's all 10. I've scrolled through probably like 40 books trying to find what the top 10 are because so many sequels are super high up on this list. And like a lot of these sequels I also agree with because obviously I liked the first book in the series enough to continue on reading. So I gave them like a rather high rating and so did everybody else, so yeah, I just, you know, I find videos like this to just be really interesting. I like seeing, you know, whether I disagree or agree with the fact that a book is like the best. And I feel like Goodreads average ratings, while they're not like the be all end all, I do think they can give you a pretty good idea as to if the book is worth your time or not. Not to say that books with like low Goodreads average ratings aren't gonna be worth your time, but I think a lot of us check Goodreads average ratings when we're looking for, you know, like new books. So for the most part, I definitely agreed with most of these. A lot of my favorite books have been on this list. However, some of my, you know, lesser favorite books have also been on this list. But overall, everything is subjective. So what have we learned from this video? I feel like I could either take it 2 ways. I could have really good taste, or I could just be really basic. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really like watching videos like this, so I hope you guys did too. Obviously, I would love to know what some of your top books are according to Goodreads. Let me know down in the comments. We can chat about them. I'm sure a lot of these books that I've talked about today are probably also on your top books according to Goodreads, so we can chat about those as well. Or if there were just any surprises. Were there any books that you guys just absolutely hated that ended up in your top 10? Fortunately, I did not absolutely hate any of these books that ended up in my top 10, but I'd be interested to know if they did for you. So yeah, I guess that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know it's been a rather quick video, but I just wanted to, you know, do something chill and fun today. So that's it. I will see you guys in my next video.